Hey, everybody. Good evening. Welcome back to Love Mama Inspires. We are super excited this week to be ending out our week with someone who I consider to be an expert in homeschooling, who has definitely been a listening ear for me, myself as a mom, and just entertaining the whole homeschooling thought. And now that we are in, I don't know why it came up, but now that we are in a crisis, we've all been thrown into the role of being a homeschool mom. So I couldn't think of a better person to bring on for this particular topic other than Amber Kid. I'm super excited. And just before we jumped on, it's been about 2.5 years in the making of interviewing her and talking about this particular topic. So welcome, Amber.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to come and talk to you guys. I know that this is a topic that is on everybody's mind. I have been flooded with conversations, and I just am excited to answer any of your guys' questions.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to make sure that we are getting the questions from everyone who is listening in today. So I know with this platform, if you want us to see your name, you can definitely comment below and we'll try to make sure that we're addressing the comments. But I know with this platform, you have to also give permission if you want us to see your name. So I hope that we don't overlook anyone this evening, but I thought that this was a perfect conversation because Amber, like I just finished out the first week of homeschooling. And I told somebody, I really been thinking about it and entertaining it. And then it was like, be careful what you ask for. So I was like, okay, is this what homeschool looks like? Because first of all, back up, tell everyone how long you've been homeschooling, like your background overall.
So I actually have like a huge background in homeschooling. I personally was homeschooled for most of my childhood.
Wow.
And we were very traditional homeschool. I have 5 brothers and sisters. So we was like a little schoolhouse, very, very, very sheltered, shut in. But we made it work. Like a lot of the stuff that we learned, my parents were entrepreneurs. So we did a lot of business building. And then when I grew up and had kids, I was adamant that I was not homeschooling. I did not want to do it. And then I had my beautiful daughter, who is just the most brilliant thing on the planet, but has absolutely no interest in participating in anything that has to do with structured learning in a school environment. And so by 2nd grade, we were struggling. I was having conferences with her teachers, trying to figure out what we could do to really regain her attention, because by the 1st grade, she had already surpassed all the homework that she could do for that year and was branching into 2nd grade. And so it was just becoming, like really a problem. She would sit there and color. So I decided to pull her out in 2nd grade, and she's now in 5th grade. And then I have a 6-year-old also who's in kindergarten this year. And so, I just feel like homeschool has pretty much been a part of my life for my entire life.
Wow. So first of all, so you already know you're bright, right? So you already know homeschool works. You were born into it. Your parents were entrepreneurs anyway. So you've been raised that way. So how has it been? So basically it came natural for you to start even homeschooling, period. Right?
To even consider the conversation, really. I think a lot of people just don't have the exposure. So they're not even willing to open the door.
Yeah.
And so I think that my background in homeschooling definitely gave me that advantage in the confidence of knowing that it is something that you can do, and with multiple kids.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I posted the other day, I was like, if you're homeschooling more than one child or maybe 2, I'm sorry. I apologize in advance, because I just felt like this week, like it was like, do I help this one? Do I help that one? Okay, both of you sign into class. Let's start with you. And hold on, Mom, I need you. So it felt very chaotic. And I was like, what in the world? Like, what? Like, I don't know. I was just lost, to be honest with you. And then, everything's now online. I pictured homeschool to be half and half. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so honestly, I want to make sure that everybody understands that what we're in right now is not homeschooling. This is crisis schooling. You're all forced into a home environment for your learning, but it is not homeschool. My kids are driving me crazy too. All of our classes are canceled. We have co-ops that we go to. We have music classes we attend. Everything is canceled for us too. because homeschooling it's not about staying in your house and doing book work and, logging into a computer and doing, X amount of hours a day.
Yeah.
It's really more a community. And so this isn't what this normally looks like. So
okay,
I'm hoping that by showing you some homeschool tips, you can use them in crisis school, but just always keep in mind that this isn't what this would look like if you were going to actually homeschool your children.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you pointed that out, because I was like, I don't know, is it supposed to feel this way? And, Ty, he was like, well, this is what you asked for. No, this is not what I was asking for, because again, like you said, I pictured, some outdoor time, some trips and, the science kit coming in through the mail. Like I pictured like this very organized, calm, and freeing experience. And it was far from that this first week.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of families are feeling that same thing. I know for us, a typical homeschool week, consists of going to music classes. We do a lot of traveling. And so my kids, we do some book work, but in general, I don't follow a basic curriculum. I know that while you're in crisis school, a lot of you are being required to follow a curriculum through your school. So obviously some of the things that I do as a homeschool mom, you guys aren't necessarily going to be allowed to have the freedom with.
Oh my
God.
God.
In the places that you can, let them. Maybe don't sit down and have your 6-year-old do 2 solid hours on the computer of homework. Maybe sit down and let's count some pennies out and, let's play store or something like that,
Yeah, absolutely. And then what would you say as far as time management? So let me tell you, like I have been like, first of all, everything that's going on around us, and I don't want to make excuses for why we can't keep up, right? But realistically, we can't keep up because it's like you're already worried about job losses and you're worried about, your health, the most important part, right? And it's like, and now you want me to sit down and do, I had emails coming from science, from social studies, from, Spark and math and like, I was like, what in the world? Like, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
So
well,
and
the reality,
time management, like,
so the reality is, think about it this way. Okay. In a school, you have about 30 kids to a classroom and your classes are going to last 6 to 8 hours. Your average is about 45 minutes of learning a student. So anything that you're doing a day beyond 45 minutes, you are basically equaling their school. So some of the things that I would kind of eliminate is maybe you don't have to sit and learn about all the presidents right now. Maybe we're not going to crack open that history book and, go reading through it chapter by chapter. Like, let's maybe alleviate some of those more boring ones and utilize that 45 minutes. Think about your child and what could you do for 45 minutes to just blow their mind right out of the water and just take them to a whole nother place of learning that not only that they actively are learning, but that they will want to continue it themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Can anyone else relate to this? So thank you so much for joining us this evening. We've been talking about, just the overall homeschooling experience for a lot of us new moms or new homeschool moms. But I love the fact that Amber talks about it being crisis school, because this has definitely been a totally different experience than what you and I have talked about, what her and I have talked about in the past. And I'm like, I was looking forward to the flexibility of homeschooling my child. But back to what you were saying, one particular thing, like today, I remember like Makai's Chromebook that the school sent home failed first week, right? It doesn't work. So I'm like, okay, great. Now I got to do classrooms for 2 children on one Chromebook. And how do I, get all this done? And then today I was like, you know what? Amber, I'm not gonna lie. Yesterday, I felt myself saying, I need a mental health day. No one's doing anything. I can't. Like, it was just, it felt like that much pressure, right? And so today I was like, you know what? Out of this time, what means the most to me that you learn? And for him, again, I love the fact you talked about knowing your child, because for him, my focus is reading, period. all this other stuff, reading and math, but mainly reading. But all this other stuff is like, we can't keep up. I'm sorry, we can't.
Yeah. And you as a mom, you know that. And you know that once you open that door of not only like the knowledge of being able to read, but the interest that then opens you up to learning science, learning history, math problems, you know?
Yeah.
So you as a parent knows more than anybody what you need to be spending, like I said, about 45 minutes a day on.
Yeah, because you first of all, let's think about it. Like as a parent, we don't have like they're used to us. So in school, it's like they have this structure, right? And it's like the teacher said sit down, and now it's like mom said sit down. Yeah, okay.
Well, and I'm just going to be honest. How many of you have sat down in a first grade classroom? Like, who's ever spent time in a first grade classroom? What does that look like?
That's true.
As a parent, you don't really have any concept of what that looks like unless it's something that you're actively doing. And so I can tell you, as somebody who's had experience working from preschool to second grade, you're probably making them sit down at a desk too much. Like Benjamin maybe sits down for, like I said, 45 minutes a day is what I try to hit for goal as far as like academic, sit down, let's work on this, 45 minutes.
Yeah. And I like that because again, I just felt like the day 1 and day 2, Amber, we were like up at like 8 p.m. And I was like, why it takes so long? Like, why does it take us so long? Why does this have to be so stressful? They really don't want to do it because they're just like, this is new to me too. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It's just a whole bunch of mixed emotions. So I just really appreciate you really just coming on and talking about that. But as far as, like you said, time management, it's just, I guess, just we try to come up with a schedule, but even with like waking up in the morning, I'm just like the weight of the day and everything that's going on right now. I'm like, go ahead and sleep another hour because.
Great. That's exactly what you should be doing. I remembered another thing that we were kind of talking about a little bit earlier, and that's that it's technically spring break now, guys. Like, why don't you take this next week or two and just like get it together, get yourself together as mom, get yourself together as a homeschooler now. Like, let your kids do what they were going to do during spring break. Yeah. You know, we probably can't go on adventures and do fun things that we were planning, but you could take a breath and you could spend that 2 weeks just centering yourself so that you can feel more prepared to really take on that school.
Absolutely.
You know, because they wouldn't be doing school right now anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you're the one who really made me think about that. Like spring break is coming up. Take advantage of that, right? Take advantage of that time to really just regroup because again, all of us was just thrown into this overnight, right? It's like they're going to school one day and the next thing you know, we have masks on and we're going to go collect Chromebooks and we're learning how to, and I must have got about 15 emails before the Chromebooks even got here. And then it was like, you pick them up, okay, get to work and this is due tomorrow. Like,
so I mean, it's really hard because you guys are dealing with your school curriculum and they're gonna fire hose you with everything that they're supposed to be teaching. But the reality is it's not like your teacher is sitting down with your student every day to clarify that they know everything the teacher is explaining. So technically, if you wanted to recreate that, you could stand in front of your child and just fire hose them with that information for 2 hours.
Yeah. And that's a good idea because I was just like, okay. And then, the ultimate struggle, Amber, the ultimate struggle. We were raised under a different type of learning, right? And now these kids have they've been taught a different way of math. They've been taught a whole different way to figure things out where they're just like, it becomes a conflict between you and the child now because you're like, why are you showing me this way when my teacher says it's this way? And, you know, and I'm like, you know what, then go listen to your teacher. Like, I don't know how many times I wanted to.
Like, you know what, we just carry the one because we just do. No, I mean, honestly, as a homeschool mom, I struggle with that one so much. I hate math. My daughter is like, creeping towards that edge of math where I'm like, okay, well, here's where my skill set about ends. And so I just utilize the tools we have. We love Khan Academy, education.com. They have fun games that actually like take them based on, you know, where they're at right now. And it kind of slowly graduates them up. My kids play on that like they would play Minecraft.
Wow. Yeah, mine do too. And I know that they're very bright. A lot of these children are very, very bright because of the things that they already know and learn. The vocab that they have is just mind blowing.
And the access to
And
technology
they
and
have the
information that
access.
we just didn't have.
Exactly. So it's not like, us before where we had to pull out the chalk and the diddles and go outside and figure it out and step by step. I just think that, maybe it was a school that was behind.
I absolutely say that. I mean, in my book, that's exactly my point is I honestly think that public school is a very, very old school way of thinking.
Yeah.
We are stuffing too many students into a classroom. It might have worked back when it was, 10 or 12, but now it doesn't make sense.
They could go online and learn just like that. And it's like, okay, well, why did you spend 7 hours into school or 7-8 hours into the classroom when you just picked this up in 10 minutes, So I thought that was really interesting. So what would you say to someone, like I said, we were very stressed out this week?
So I would just, like I said, I would tell you, first of all, give yourself a break. I always tell parents who are going into homeschooling, whether it's forced or by choice, deschool. It's a thing that I talk about in my book, and I'm happy to explain it more to anybody else. But basically, it's eliminating the structure of school because it comes with its own anxieties and its own burdens and its own stresses, not only for you as a parent trying to maintain that, but for the child too. Yeah. Like right now, they're struggling. They are lost. They miss their friends. They miss the way their teacher taught things. They don't necessarily like you as their teacher right now either.
No.
So what I would tell you is to maintain the relationship with your child above everything else. Maintain your mental health above everything else. Utilize the tools that you have, but above everything, just breathe.
Absolutely.
Give yourself that week or two of spring break right now and really just breathe.
Amber, what is the name of your book?
It is Becoming the Unapologetic Homeschooler.
And how can they find your book?
They can find it on Amazon. I can actually post a link to it in the group as well.
Yes.
And people are always welcome to reach out to me.
Thank you so much.
And I also have a chapter in your book that kind of goes over some of the deschooling concept as well, very briefly.
Yes. Look at me trying to get it underneath of here, but I definitely would appreciate if you could post how they would contact you and the name of your book and where they can find it, because you are like, it was so funny because when we were thrown into this, the first person I thought about was you, and I could just imagine you saying, welcome to my side of the world.
Yeah, at first it was like kind of funny, and I was like, oh well, welcome to my world, guys, but now I just genuinely feel so bad for you.
Yeah,
like, especially seeing the emails that people are getting from their teachers. I'm like, eesh.
This is not the way I pictured it, but I'm thankful for the fact that we have someone like you that we can reach out to, like, help, like this is crazy.
Anytime.
And we started this first week, and literally the kids were like picking and choosing what parent they wanted to teach them, and I was just like, really, like it was funny. It was really, really funny, but so in your personal opinion, if I could ask you, and you can just really be honest, do you think that the remainder of this year will actually count?
So technically, yes. I think that the way that the school system will work, I think they'll make it count. But I'm telling you, as a parent with a child, if I was in your position, I wouldn't really necessarily worry about whether or not the year counts or not. Just know that next year, be ready to work with your child's teacher. Be willing to, kind of fill in the gaps where they are. Accept the fact that, okay, maybe you will be a little bit behind, but don't put it in that mindset. Just put it in your child has worked at the best pace for them. Yeah. And you guys have maintained a healthy environment throughout that whole process, because you are doing no good just bullying your child into learning.
Yeah. And that's what it started to feel that way. It really did. It started to be very uncomfortable. And the last thing that I don't want, and I think this is why I'm very passionate about this particular topic, especially this week and going through this week, I felt a lot of tension in our home because of this new thing. And everybody is so busy, like, you know, we got to do this. No, don't do it that way. Sit down, do your homework. Da-da, you know, and I'm like, no, this is totally not who we are.
Yeah.
And we can't allow this situation, because for one, we don't know how long this is going to go on, and we can't allow this situation that we all unfairly got thrown into to break us apart, because it can go very sour. And it's just because, again, the outside responsibilities that we're now bringing into our home and not knowing how to management, we're all learning together, right? And now we're all, it's because I'm serious, and it's like I just see kids, I just see a lot of families breaking apart after this moment because of the stresses of being around each other and all of the new ways of living. Even with my husband and I, we're like nitpicking at each other, and it's like, okay, go to your space. We have to learn that now.
I mean, the reality is, and it's why I teach deschooling. It'd be the same if you were to pull your child out of a normal school. A lot of people start homeschooling because of some sort of an issue or a crisis. And so offering that opportunity to deschool really gives your child a chance to recenter themselves, because right now is, like I said, it's sad for them too. They are dealing with anxiety they don't know how to manage, stresses, fear. They have no access to the information that we have, because as a parent, we protect them. So they don't necessarily understand why we can't go outside, why they can't go to school.
Yes.
So just like realize that you're dealing with your child in probably one of the most highest levels of just confused anxiety that they're going to be in their young life, or that they have been in so far.
Yeah. And I know that they are definitely dealing with it. You know, Makai wakes up in the morning. He's like, so is this coronavirus gone yet? You know, and so when he wakes up and asks that question, I already know that it's on his brain. And that's the last thing that I want him to have to worry about, you know? So to add the whole school thing, I'm just like, okay, you teach me, you show me, try to make it, you teach me what you know. Show me where you like to go.
Yes.
You know, those
and
type of things.
Like for little ones, especially, that's like my favorite trick is you be the teacher.
Yeah.
You show me how to do this work then, you know, and that might get you through some of the workbooks that your teachers send through. You know, it's just, they're so little. And like you said, when you hear your son say something, it might be so harmless, but you know that it's on his mind.
Yeah.
So it's like, he doesn't necessarily know all of the things that, or the questions to ask, or the things to express about his fear. So you just have to see that that's going to come out in, you know, fighting you with school, being a little bit more stubborn, being a little bit more difficult to manage. And that is going to just cause you to slow down. So maybe just accept that school this year is going to be slow. Don't be afraid that the government is going to hold your child back next year, because that's not a likelihood. Most likely your child will be in the next grade next year. So, you know, definitely don't do nothing all year, but know that you can start slow and you can work throughout the summer. If you start, you know, 45 minutes a day, we work on the weekends and we work all through the summer, because we won't do a full day of school. My children, it's like a full-time job. I won't put them in a full-time job. You know, and they're children.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I like that you said that, because again, we're so, again, it's traditional thinking. So I love you talked about deschooling, because it's traditional thinking. We think that they can only learn between this hour and this hour. And we have to break that up. We have to get away from that. Sanaya was the very first one who told me that, Mom, what makes you think that I only learn between 8 and 3? And I was like, what? You know, and
we do our best like schooling in the afternoon. You know, we start at probably 6 o'clock in the evening some days, just because everybody's got everything they want to do out of their system. Like, you know, the day's pretty much done and they're bored and they're like, okay, fine, we'll do some school.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you do. So lastly, we'll talk about the fun things, because I love the fact that you do very creative projects with your kids. Especially when we were talking the other day, you're like, oh, Rice Krispie treats and learning how to do all that. I actually went out to buy a box of Rice Krispie treats so I could show them the things that we used to do. And I think this is a great opportunity to show them, because we're always saying that they're always in their phones. So it's a great opportunity to show them all the old school things that we used to do. Like I was thinking of going to get some chalk and maybe, you know, writing words inside of the boxes so they can help them to read, but they're still playing, you know, like just being creative with our time. Makai is into science projects. So I know all the schools are shut down, but maybe if you have like science games or look them up or how to make things, we're still learning.
Yeah, well, Pinterest is a homeschool mom's best friend.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you that.
That's my curriculum is Pinterest. I find all these weird ideas. You could do craft projects. You could print out entire worksheets or, like different things. So just if you have an idea, literally just type it into Pinterest and most likely a mom has done it.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And I thank you so much for this time, for coming on, especially to end out my personal experience of homeschooling, this particular crisis schooling, this particular week, because it definitely did feel that way. So I'm glad to know that if I do entertain the thought of homeschooling next year, that this is not what it's supposed to feel like.
Yeah, I definitely don't want anyone to be put off by the idea of homeschooling. I'm really hoping this can be an opportunity to show people how beautiful it could be. I love spending all day, every day with my kids. Like, we have such a great relationship as a family, and I get to teach my kids all about running a business. And so it's amazing what you can do when you really accept and are open to homeschooling.
Yeah.
And so I'm really hoping this kind of forced homeschool situation will open the eyes and the doors to a lot of families.
I definitely think it will. Especially, and just continue to share your message and to share with everyone your experience, because people need to know that this is truly not traditional homeschooling.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you so much for coming on. And if you all are joining us, please just let us know in the comments if this is something that you can relate to. I know that you all probably can relate to this right about now. And then Amber will also let us know how we can get in contact with her and pretty much be open for consultations to speak with you as well and to guide you through the process.
Yeah, I will post everything in the group, and you guys are welcome to reach out to me anytime.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Amber. I will be definitely calling. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us this evening, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye. Good night.